When we're talking about underrated anime verses, none seem to come up as more underrated than the likes of Fairy Tail these days. Whether it be the plethora of TikTokers saying that the Fairy Tail verse caps at country level, or Screw Attack / Death Battle saying that Ace and Natsu will be a close fight. So today we're going to be talking about how strong FOE Natsu, Zeref, and Acnologia are as the god tiers in the series. Now before we go into a specific tier, first we have to go over how strong the time lapse is, otherwise known as the space between time. When we talk about the space between time, we know it's described as a void of nothingness, lacking both space and time, and the only thing that actually exists there is time magic itself. The reason why this is so important is because if space and time cannot exist and this time magic is able to exist there, it must have an extra layer of existence that allows it to exist. Try saying that 3 times over. Now based off this, we could probably say it has some type of 5th dimensional existence. So yeah, the magic in this realm is quite plausibly 5D. Now the reason this is so strong is because Zeref was using this same time magic to power himself and power the neo-eclipse. The reason why this is so strong is because the neo-eclipse's whole point was to reset space-time, or more specifically crumble away a world and begin a new one. Now before you'll try and say that it was specifically talking about the planet, he specifically says right before this that he was going to reset time itself. Now logically we'd say it's universal, as he was going to reset all time, which would therefore reset all space, so resetting space and time would be universal. Now I guess you want ultra low baller's feet, you could say he's just interacting with all the universe through time magic, and that way he would still be galaxy level, as the magic would be interacting with the whole universe at least to a minute extent. So yeah, Zero should be anywhere from galaxy level to universal. But now what if I told you there was someone even stronger? Now one thing I had to point out, FOE Natsu, which is Flames of Emotion Natsu, the one that defeats Zeref, does not scale to Zero. This is because the Flames of Emotion form is something that temporarily amps Natsu based on how emotional he's feeling at the time. And again, this amp is temporary. It's something he loses after the emotional state is over, and it varies in power between how emotional he is. Now let's get to the strongest person within the original Fairy Tail series. Basically, Acnologia gets trapped in the space between time, and after Zeref loses and fails to use the neo-eclipse, he then absorbs that same time magic. This is even shown within feats, as he's able to crack space-time like it's nothing when he punches through it. This is also further backed up by the fact that the author Mashima stated that Acnologia was the strongest character in the original Fairy Tail series. Not to mention, it would be ridiculous to say that Acnologia and Zeref's control over time and their 5th dimensional existence would grant them some level of immeasurable speed. Now let's quickly go over the most common debunks I see for this argument. The most common arguments I see is inconsistency arguments involving things like, for example, the original 4 dragons all being equal to Acnologia, but that statement's referring to pre-time lapse absorbed Acnologia. And we know that the other Acnologia is way stronger just based on the fact that he could barely handle the magic within him. And we can't say it's inconsistent due to Natsu, since Natsu had temporary amps in both fights being FOE. If it wasn't for FOE, he would not be nearly as strong and would have lost, as shown when he tried to fight Zeref without it. So yeah, both Acnologia and Zeref defeat the big 3 MCs. See you guys.